For anyone who follows the White House briefings, you know CNN and MSNBC are politically biased in their questions. However, in my opinion, I think the worst one is Glenn Thrush. You may not remember him, but he was from Politico, and he was caught in the Wkikleaks scandal regarding the DNC email scandal. He was a reporter in the Wkikleaks scandal that actually emailed John Podesta asking him to proofread a story he was going to write about him before publishing it. If you find that hard to believe, I don't blame you. But I have a copy of the Wkikleaks email sent, and I'll put it up on the screen as I read it for you. OTR, which stands for off the record. No problems here. On April 30th, 2015 at 3 p.m. From Glenn Thrush. No worries, because I have become a hack. Can you believe it? He admits he's a political hack. I will send you the whole section that pertains to you. Then he tells him, please don't share or tell anyone I did this. Tell me if I effed up anything. Pretty classy guy, eh? Well, anyways, here he is at the press briefing, in which I believe he pretty much is the most biased reporter there. Yes, even over CNN and MSNBC. Enjoy.
Try.
Hey, Sean, I just have questions for you.
Hold on.
One other thing. So, Sean, in terms of the Nunez chronology, just to clarify, when we're asking questions about process like dates and people, we're not attempting to ascertain the geography of the executive complex. We want to know who knew what when.
I understand that.
So my question is, so I will ask that directly. Forget about the technical questions. Mr. Nunez was on the campus. You say we don't know who let him in the gate, so
right.
Apparently it is, and you described, I believe, this is a normal process, right? Tell me if it is normal the way that I'm describing it. Mr. Nunez, the head of an investigatory committee, is allowed to roam around the executive complex, we don't know who let him in, to speak to two deputy-level members of the National Security Council. He is then allowed to see information. He then obtains an appointment, from my understanding of the chronology, with the President of the United States to disgorge that information. He then goes public with that information. Then 7 or so days later, you say it would be appropriate for everybody to come down here and look at it. Is that a normal process?
Well, I would take issue with a number of the aspects of your chronology. Number one, which you're forgetting, is that initially he's the one that publicly said, well before any of this came to light in terms of the president's March 5th tweet, that he was just looking into this whole matter. He, according to John Roberts' his own reporting, just said that neither of those individuals, as described in your paper's reporting, are accurate. So I would dispute several of the pieces of that. And then as far as him roaming around the White House. No, I understand this, but you, again, you jump to a ton of conclusions about, and again, I love watching some of these shows where they jump to conclusions for all.
Hold on. Several times prejudged the investigation is clearing the White House. You've said it twice at the podium today.
Right.
So
what I'm saying is, because I'm focused on the substance of this, Glenn, I'm actually, right, and so where's any of the reporting been in your paper about Evelyn Faucus and her revelation that this is what they sought to do? Where has been the reporting in your paper that NBC News just recently covered, that other officials? You seem to be really focused on who showed up where and what door they went in and how it happened. To answer your question, yes, it's appropriate for a member of Congress to contact someone who has contacted him according to some of these reports. I don't know the answer to that, but if you're asking me, is it appropriate for a member of Congress to come over here? As Chairman Nunez has said himself, he wasn't hiding or roaming. He was asked to come over here by an individual. He came over, which happens daily. He was asked to go somewhere. He went there. He is cleared. And nothing that is inappropriate, and exactly the opposite. What he did, what he saw, and who he met with was 100% proper.
Did the Chief of Staff, who is, in my understanding, an exceptionally attentive gatekeeper to who comes in and out of the Oval Office, did the Chief of Staff know that he was on the campus? Did he approve his?
No, so remember, you're okay, but you're playing cute there. You're doing two things. One is you're talking about the Oval Office, and the other one is the campus. Right? So, no, the Chief of Staff does not know every single person who's on the 18 acres at any given time. They are people who are appropriately either cleared or waved through the system or are escorted on in some way, shape, or form. No, we don't track every single person who's on the 18 acres. Do we know, generally speaking, who's in the Oval Office? Not all the time, because people can go in. But if there was a meeting, in that case, we all sat back here. He made the announcement, and again, you're leaving out a key part. He actually briefed the press before he told anyone. We all found out, you, me, everyone else, that he was coming down here after he held a press conference with your colleagues to say he was coming down here based on stuff that he'd found that didn't have to do with Russia, that a whistleblower source had given him. Now, the other reporting that I'm hearing today is actually that the sources that you describe in your paper are not accurate. And while I'm not going to comment on either, I think there is an assumption that everything and the chronology that we know over is accurate, which I don't believe from further reporting that it is. And I also believe that some of the comments that have come out publicly in terms of some of the Obama administration are conveniently left out of that discussion. I think that that is interesting, how no one seems to really cover the fact that in a senior Obama administration with high-level clearances talked about the spreading of classified information for political purposes, and no one seems to care.
But just to be clear, Mr. Priebus, Mr. Kushner, Mr. Bannon did not have knowledge of his having this interaction with
I don't know. Again, you asked two questions and you melded them together. No one knew that he was coming to speak to the president. He announced that on television during a press conference. Tamara.
Yeah, my understanding is that Dr. Farkas left the administration in